Hey, what's going on everyone? I'm Dezey and I'm here to bring you part 2 of the Skye Spotlight series, but this time I'm going to show you a much different playstyle. I'm going to be doing Weapon Power Skye. Now if you don't know how to use Skye mechanically, check out my first video, but if you have, then let's get started. One of the things I like most about Weapon Power Skye is that she has less counters, but she is much harder to master. I also like that she is a strong flex pick in the lane or the jungle. Let's start with the items. The first item you will want to rush is a breaking point. You'll also want to get boots and a reflex block along the way, based on the crowd control abilities that the enemy has at the time. If you are hard carrying, then just outright rush the 2 tyrant monocles. Otherwise, I would build a little bit of defense along the way. I will always prioritize the critical rate items first. For defense, get a metal jacket and an Aegis. Always get weapon infusions when you know you are going to fight. Now we are going to take an in-depth look at why this build is so strong on Skye. These are the statistics that the core items will give you. If you can get up to 15 stacks on the breaking point, then that is a free Sorrow Blade. The 80% critical rate from the 2 monocles will help boost damage to help build breaking point stacks. The stacks will in turn increase the critical rate damage that you can deal. These 3 items will make your auto attacks stronger and stronger. And best of all 30 of the hits on forward barrage are also able to crit. Being able to build breaking point stacks from 10 meters away is incredibly OP. The main reason why Red Skye has less counters is because she can have very strong sustained damage throughout the entirety of the fight with her abilities and auto attacks. Her other 2 abilities should not be used for damage. Be smart when using them. Suri Strike is meant for mobility and positioning, and also resetting forward barrage. I advise you to take Suri Strike to its overdrive. Skye's ultimate, Death from Above, is best used for zoning, slowing, and stunning. I only take this to 2 ranks. Skye's passive Lock On also helps with great mobility and has great chase potential. Forward Barrage is best used for damage and building up breaking point stacks so that your basic attacks can do an alarming amount of damage. Learning what makes a build so powerful allows you to play into those strengths. Now let's move on to the priorities as Red Skye. As a ranged carry, positioning is always paramount. Through great positioning, you can make up for the lack of defense that Skye has. Build up those breaking point stacks. If you watch pros or high-level streams, you will always see Weapon Power Skye cleaning up at the end of fights. Your ultimate has such great utility in a team fight because it can zone, slow, or stun enemies. I have a detailed explanation of the mechanics on Death from Above in my first Skye video. Because you are so slippery, most teams will try to focus you down with very hard crowd control. Keep track of who has it and if they are available. One of the most powerful traits a hero in Vainglory can have is the reset on their abilities. Suri Strike resets forward barrage. Keep in mind, the barrage lasts around 3 seconds, and Suri Strike's cooldown is 5. You have 2 seconds of wait time for every forward barrage. And if you play it right, you can be using forward barrage for 9 out of the 11 seconds in a team fight. And lastly, Skye's long-range abilities, paired with her chase and mobility, allow her to be one of the best janitors on the fold. Now moving on to the skirmishes and team fights, I'm going to start with the mechanical differences in Weapon Power Skye. As a Skye player, don't be afraid to run or dive in to get the last hit on an enemy or a minion. Skye's Lock On perk will give you a little bit of a speed boost to run away. One of the great things about forward barrage is that if you miss completely or if the enemy dodges you, the ability can be toggled off and you can auto attack to continue to deal damage. As Red Skye, Suri Strike is meant for positioning, gap closing, and dodging. Use anything that is targetable to your advantage. If you have your ultimate and an enemy charges you, do not panic. Target them and ult in the direction that you are running to impede their progress. In this game, the Adagio decides to lane with me. Because of this, the enemy team takes advantage of the lone alpha in my jungle and does a full party invade. Because Alpha's second life is still available, I know that I can run down and at least get some kills as they try to focus the Alpha. In the early game, be aware of the minimap so that you can rotate down and help with team fights. In most cases, if your team wins the jungle, you have a much easier game to finish out. In this instance, I prevent my jungle from being lost. In this clip, I am not paying enough attention to the minimap and I run into Rona and Lyra. I run into my jungle and place my ult. The entire enemy team charges in my direction and runs past my ultimate. Lyra has already used her bright bulwark, so as I stay locked onto the Rona, I use Suri Strike to completely change direction and move to the other side of my ultimate. A clutch fountain comes out from my flicker and I refocus on building up my breaking point stacks. I Suri Strike once again to reposition myself for a better angle at forward barrage. The narrow pathways in the jungle allow for easy targeting. As the enemy runs, I use my lock-on perk and Suri Strike to stay close enough to finish. Here, I have 19 stacks on breaking point, and I deal 336 damage to a jewel that already has a Atlas Pauldron. After the ace, I make a mistake in helping with the gold miner. I could have successfully gone straight to the lane and taken a turret as well. Splitting objectives this way would have created much more gold for the team. Luckily, that didn't matter, as the next fight won the game. The start of the fight began with Lyra blowing her bright bulwark. I was free to use all of my abilities afterwards. I stay far away to build my stacks and focus on the Lyra because she is the squishiest and she can heal her allies. At 10 stacks, I auto-attack Lyra with a 381 crit. As the jewel ults, she is a stationary target for forward barrage. The damage crits with 27 on the side and 40 from the back. In the last clip here, my team starts Kraken to bait the enemy team. As I see the team come down to the Kraken, I move away from the brush and let my Alpha act as my front line with the 2 lives that she has. I target the Lyra to use Death from Above to separate Lyra from her allies. It only stuns the Celeste, but it stops her from using her devastating abilities. Adagio is then split from the rest of the team. The enemy turns on him, and as he runs off, I try to Suri Strike over to help him. Lyra's bright bulwark stops my Suri Strike in its tracks, and the enemy diverts its attention towards Alpha. Ladies and gentlemen, do not focus the Alpha. She has 2 lives, and while you waste your time trying to kill her twice, the carry on the other team will kill you. As the enemy focuses the Alpha, I take down Lyra and then Rona. After I finish them off, the game is pretty much won. Here I make another mistake. I fail to attack nearby minions for the speed boost so that I can catch up to the Celeste. Luckily, I have my boots and I have a reflex block to use against her core collapse to defend against her stun. I also save my Suri Strike to dodge her heliogenesis and get the last kill for the win. Thank you everyone for watching, liking, and subscribing. You can follow me on Twitter and Twitch. Although I don't stream much, it would be a good opportunity for people to learn more from me. Stay tuned for my next hero spotlight with Blackfeather. Good luck everyone, and I'll see you all on the Halcyon Fold.